Midas and his golden touch. Long ago, in ancient Greece, there lived a king who absolutely loved being rich. Collecting gold was his favorite hobby. He filled his palace with lavish ornaments and even gave his little daughter golden toys encrusted with jewels. One day, King Midas, for that was his name, was strolling through his gardens when he saw a creature asleep in the flower beds. It was a satyr, a half-man, half-goat. The satyr, a servant of the god Dionysus, was sick and grubby. Midas bathed the satyr and dressed him in fine, clean clothes. Then he delivered him safely back to Dionysus in his temple on the mountaintop. Dionysus was grateful that Midas had taken such care of his servant. He offered to grant the king any wish he desired. Midas needed only a second before he answered, "I wish that everything I touch would turn to gold." The god Dionysus thought this was a most foolish wish, but he'd made a promise and couldn't argue. "Your wish is granted." King Midas rushed back to his palace. He was eager to test out his new powers. In his beautiful gardens, he reached to touch a flower and it instantly turned to gold. King Midas laughed with delight. He ran around the garden, turning all the trees and flowers into gold. The fluttering peacocks were now golden statues. There were golden fountains flowing with liquid gold instead of water. He danced through his palace, touching every object. Every chair, every carpet, every door soon glittered with shining gold. The king's eyes lit up with excitement. He decided to celebrate his great fortune. "Bring me food and drink." Servants filled the long golden table with many delicious dishes and pitchers of wine. But when Midas took a piece of bread and put it in his mouth, it turned into a bread-shaped chunk of gold. He almost broke his teeth on the hard, precious metal. When he tipped up the pitcher of wine, all that flowed into his cup was liquid gold. There was nothing on the table he could eat or drink. With a roar of frustration, Midas threw the golden feast from the table. He had no idea what to do. He couldn't play with his pet dog because he'd turned into gold. He couldn't dress up in his fine silk clothes and leather boots because they'd turned to scratchy, hard gold. He couldn't sleep on his bed because it was now a hard golden rock. The king's little daughter came running towards him.
"Father, why do you look so angry?"
Midas smiled. Of course, his delightful girl would cheer him up. "My darling one." He reached out his arms, but the instant he swung her into the air, he realized his terrible mistake. His daughter, too, had turned to gold. She was now a cold statue that couldn't laugh and couldn't embrace him. King Midas was distraught. Not only was he hungry and thirsty, but he also lost his most precious possession, his beautiful daughter. "I've been so stupid." In desperation, Midas returned to the mountain and approached the temple of Dionysus. This time, however, he had to walk up because his horses were now golden statues. Midas threw himself at the feet of Dionysus and begged him to take away his golden touch. "Please, set me free of this terrible curse." Dionysus took pity on the starving, miserable king. "Go and bathe in the river Pactolus." King Midas went to the river. He stepped carefully into the water, afraid it might turn into gold and kill him. But he was relieved to see that the gold was washing off his boots, and they were leather again. Midas grabbed a jug and poured the river water all over himself. He carried jug after jug of water back to his palace to wash his daughter, his servants, his dog, his horses. He didn't stop until everything in his palace was back to normal. King Midas laughed with delight as he embraced his daughter. He enjoyed the simple flowers in the garden, the sweet taste of a peach, the company of friends. Midas now understood that it was much more important to feel rich than to actually be rich. From then on, Midas ruled his kingdom with great kindness.